on you there.
No.
I have to go feed a meter.
Okay, you go feed a
Go
meter.
nuts.
And we will
Here,
Learn mathematics.
I'm attempting to
attempt to,
reestablish the stream.
yeah.
So go ahead, just follow the on-screen prompts. I'll feed a meter and I'll be back soon.
Okay. Some amazing skills here, for some information for
You
people
have the floor, so announce out loud what key you are pressing
to,
For
educate
at-home
themselves.
viewers and what you're doing, what you're trying to do and what you're doing. Like you're pressing the enter key because it says press enter to see menu.
So we've had a momentary interruption of the stream. I've reestablished a new stream, so hopefully
Okay.
people will be able to see it, and hopefully we'll be
Will
able
this
to.
be listed as part 2 or will
Yeah,
this be listed as-
continued.
Okay. So how much do you think we lost?
I don't know. I think probably 30 minutes of it is probably, at least 30 minutes of it has probably been
Okay,
buffered.
well,
We might be able to get it back, and I
We
might be
got
able to.
Mike Lunsford thing,
to
but we probably
re-edit.
don't have T-Rex or whatever
Yeah.
that is. Well, that's, I don't walk very well these days. Let's see what we have here. Whole numbers. Now, the wonderful thing about Plato is that if a child, and these are the Plato course where I think went from kindergarten up to second year of high school. Was that it? Or perhaps a little farther. And the wonderful thing about this is that for children, it is a way of learning things that they can do at their own pace and over and over and over again. It's non-judgmental. There's no pressure. There's no, it tells you whether you've got something right or wrong. It teaches you, but it doesn't judge you. It doesn't, you're not learning in front of 30 of your new best friends who will snicker if you get something wrong, like the average, fourth grader.
Right. So I knew quite a few people that came from the Chicago public school system back in the 80s and 90s who went to Wright Junior College, and they had Plato terminals actually available to them in the library. And a lot of these people that I know use the Plato system to sort of increase their skill set for math and reading comprehension and things like that, to help them out when they started actually taking college level classes.
Now, my mother was a professor at Wright for a number of years, and she counseled a number of students who were having trouble, and she would send them, I guess, to the library to use some of these things. When
I say 90s, I mean like 90, 91. So I think after they built the new campus, that was the end of the Plato lab and the library.
She was forced to retire at 65, and to her dying day, she resented that. She didn't start lying about her age soon enough, she said, whereas my father lied about his age from the time he was 25, so that when he finally joined some of these organizations that required you to fill out your age and your educational background or something like that, he began to he would have some of these forms laying around, and I noticed one time that he graduated from college when he was 4 years old, and or high school, I guess it was when he was 4 years old, and he never bothered to change my mother's information or her birth date. So instead of being 6 years older than my mother, and some of the forms he actually was like 10 or 12 years younger than she was. She got on him about that as well. And as a result, he's in a number of Who's Who editions with different dates. And someday when my great-great-grandchildren want to look up his information, he will be very difficult to find because all these dates and all these contemporary sources are different. And he had he used to lie to himself about it sometimes. And it got to the point that I remember when he was in the hospital and they would ask him his age. He would tell them his birth date because he couldn't calculate his age anymore. At that point, he'd lied to so many different people and places about it in order to keep working. I mean, he didn't do it maliciously, but he wanted to keep working. So he taught it. He was a dean at Northwestern. And when they finally retired him from that, into his 70s, he then went to work for the Chicago Board of Education and was actually teaching school in his late 70s, which was a really bad idea because they put him in because he was a man, they put him in some schools that he should never have even been in those neighborhoods. He was shot by 3 students one time, a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And it was the 12-year-old who actually pulled the trigger. And then he chased them down the street like a damn fool. When the cops saw him chasing after these kids, they stopped. They caught the kids, but they told him to get the hell out of the neighborhood. They took him to the hospital and said, "Don't ever come back in this neighborhood." He said, "I work here." They said, "Quit, get out of here. We don't want to have to fill out the paperwork on you. We don't want to have to call the bus and get the body bags and stuff for you because it's a lot of paperwork for us. So please just don't do this anymore." Kids threw a brick through a window of his car one time, and he chased him again on foot. He was a crazy man. He was lived to be 95. Lost an arm. That's a long story, but at any rate, I don't do that kind of stuff. It's against my religion. I'm a devout coward. What do we got? Whole numbers 0 to 9. Ken?
Okay.
Well, Vic, we've delved very deeply into this program here, and now that you're back, of course, you can take over.
Oh, okay, sure.
We managed to tell lies and war stories, and I did at least.
Okay.
But now they want you to type your name.
Okay. Today's CTIUG is your goal to learn some of the basic ideas about numbers. And they got their little speedy, or I forget what they call that guy. All right. This is definitely a product of the 80s.
Oh, wait a minute.
2 girls, Mary and Jane.
That's
why did they pick those particular?
Yeah, that's very appropriate for Illinois in 2020.
Yeah.
Mary
Who
Jane.
would know that right now?
Yeah.
They had some marbles. Come on, Hal, straight line.
Well, let's see. I don't know too many straight lines.
Did they lose them?
Did they lose their marbles? Yes, had some marbles, and got. They had little marbles, of course, are little round stones. Oh, this is all.
Yeah.
This all works together.
Yeah. So this is counting. 1 through 9 or 0 through 9. So they expect whoever's using those would actually count.
See, now this kind of stuff I can do. I was doing fine.
Well, here,
I was doing fine until Satan put the alphabet into math.
In a math,
And,
yes,
and
yes.
that is X stuff.
I share that
Yeah,
post frequently.
yeah.
Find out who has the most marbles, Mary or Jane. Now match the marbles, okay? Let's see if Jane has more than Mary. Here's Cal and Bob. Type 0 and watch what happens. A lot of times you got to press the enter key. You will wear your enter key out running these programs. No, you type the number 0. Look for the letter O. Type O. I was assumed
No.
O. Okay. Oh, out. Take them out of the bag. Okay. Press enter to continue. Take all marbles out. And type O.
Huh.
Cal has as many as Bob. Cal has more than Bob. Cal has less than Bob. So what is it?
Well, he's got a lot of kisses. but he doesn't have any lovers. What is it? Hugs and
X's
kisses?
and
Yeah.
O's, yeah.
Uh,
All right, we'll press A, then enter. Cal has as many. Nifty, which is true. Cal has as many as Bob. Here's another one for you to try.
Jan and Ann. Oh,
Take all of Jan's marbles out of her bag. Press enter. Take all of Jan's marble. Okay. You did not press O. Okay. Picky shed 80.
this is a very clever program. Wonderful.
Okay. Jan has as many, has more than, or less than.
So we're not just doing math here. We're doing words and grammar and everything else. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
The Plato Library, do you have that listing of the different subjects there?
Is this it here?
Yeah, there it is. No, I meant the brief.
And now,
index.
we may be even politically correct. Marcy, Arthur, Carol, Amos, and Jean went fishing.
Okay, so
Doo-dah, doo-dah.
the program packages are mathematics, numbers 0 through 9, 10 through 1,000, addition number 1, addition number 2, subtraction basic concepts, subtraction skills, multiplication basic concepts, multiplication basic skills, division, fractions, addition and subtraction, multiplication and division, decimals, terminology and concepts, ratio, proportion, and percents. Then we get into geometry, measurement, and then back to math, basic number ideas, basic math sentences. Then we get into reading, and grammar is
There's the weakness in the program. That you have to be able to read well in order to do your basic numbers. So how does that work for, say, a kid in first grade?
well, my wife teaches special ed kids that are mainstreamed with the rest of the class. And some of these kids, part of their handicap is they can't read.
Yeah.
They cannot comprehend words on the screen. However, they understand the spoken language.
No.
So if she recites a test to them and says, which one is the right answer, A, B, or C, they can usually pick out, because they're all intelligent,
Yeah.
they can pick out the correct answer. They just can't understand what these letters are.
Yeah.
It's most strange. Going on to here, they have a lot in grammar, basic word building, prefixes and suffixes, understanding what you read, our author's purpose, practical reading. They got prose, poetry, and drama, nouns and verbs, sentence structures.
They have trigonometry in there?
Let me check.
That was my downfall.
Going through the math. No,
No trick. No.
I'm looking for algebra here, and I don't see it unless it's under a different name.
Yeah, that's.
But word in grammar, word confusion, sentence structure, logic. In the sciences, you have physics, chemistry, earth science, and biology. In social studies, you have economics, behavioral science, political science, and history. So it's comprehensive without having art or music.
Well, a little tough to little tough to do. Some subjects are very difficult to explain on a computer.
Okay, well, we've only got so much left here, but here's Marcy fishing. Here's Arthur fishing, Carol, Amos, and Jean. Marcy caught 1 fish. Arthur caught 2 fish. This sounds like
One fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish.
Dr. Seuss story, doesn't it? Yes. Well, if they start talking about ham, Carol caught 3, Amos caught 4, Jean caught 5. Okay. Press enter to do some problems. So this is like the first disc in the series on math, teaching children just the most very basic programs. Each disc appears to be self-contained. They don't ask you to put the next disc in to continue your progress on this. Although there is a next disc, it is also completely self-contained. It doesn't, you don't have to worry like if you got a Nano, that you got to turn the machine off, unload one disc, load one on, then turn it back on and select your programs. So we're going to quit, go to basic. Colon mount 1. So the next one, we're going to jump to geometry, basic concepts. That's at location 3, volume 320. Wrong disk. 5 DSK2. Yeah, I got Plato on here 3 times, depending on which header I wanted. Funny how the nano PB thing pops up. That's an artifact. We own this, folks. This is copyrighted. Unauthorized distribution is prohibited by the Major Computing League franchise. Yeah. And this is basic skills math, geometry, and measurement. Well, I remember a long time trying to run this, I think, with the official cart or something like that. And it was just, we had a devil.
We had a hell of a time with the official cart because something, whereas the cracked version worked much better.
Just show a picture of what the official cart looks like. I believe you have it there, Cal. It is white with a gold label.
Yes.
So plane figures, tutorial, drill, and additional studies. Okay, so we'll go to 1. Press redo for credits, press enter to continue. This is ours. We bought it. We paid for it. It's mine.
That's it. Yeah.
During this lesson, you can press back for a short review. We didn't do that. Okay, there's our little speedy helper there. Learn about basic geometry. Points show positions. Here's a point. Well, that's pretty big for a point, but you have to be able to see it. So we just pretend that's a point.
That's a point.
And that the point is actually in the middle of that. Here's another point. And if I comb my hair different, here's the way to think about a line. 2 points. Notice the arrows. They show that a line that does not end. It goes on and on, my friend. Okay, you can think of a line as containing many points. Let's start with a line. Start with the line and cut a piece out of it like this. A piece of a line like this is called a line segment or simply a segment. So they get all the terminology out there. They don't say, well, this is all built up on stuff that, that's undefined and stuff. No, they don't go through that. They just go, here's what everything's called, at least nowadays. Let's think of it as a flashlight. If we turn it on, we get a model of a ray. Think of a flashlight or a laser beam. Start with a line and choose a point on it. Here's one ray. And here's another, one going in both directions on the line. It's quite amazing how fast it can draw this stuff.
Yeah.
You notice you're not scrolling the page or anything. It's actually drawing it right on the screen. If you put 2 rays together, you get an angle. All right. There's some more angles. All right, so here we are in basic geometry. What is the name of the black figure?
Duh.
That is a segment.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't give you the fanfare.
Yeah, well,
It's the name of the black figure, angle, line, point, ray. No, it's not a ray because it goes in both directions. So it's what, B, a line?
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm going to flub online, I might as well do it doing this.
That's a ray.
Yeah, because it goes in only one direction.
And that's a line. That's a point. And that's an angle. That's a ray. And that's a line.
No, it's terminated
That's a
at each end.
segment?
Segment.
Okay. Well, then none of these are lines if they're terminated because.
Well, no, the arrows.
The one in the upper
often
left is a
continue.
true line
Oh, I see that.
because it continues indefinitely
Oh,
in
okay.
each direction. So here, let's put a wrong answer down. Let's call that a line.
No,
It says
that's
no,
a
choose again. Okay.
What if you keep putting down wrong answers? Will it keep telling you just to choose again, or will it finally say, "Listen, dumb shit"?
Oh, two wrong, and it gives you the correct answer.
Oh.
And explains it. No, this is an angle. Okay. So that's your geometry basic concepts. We're going to shift gears here again. Take that disc out.
Gee, just when we were winning too.
We're going to go to disc 332 in my collection. Now notice how it's drawing that square. Basic skills reading. Simple verb endings. This might seem pretty boring, but it does have some humor in here. We want I believe the simple verb endings. Okay, your title screen, your copyright statement, and redo for credits page or enter to continue. Oh,
Ooh,
you got a stage. The great
Elendo presents endings SEDING.
I wonder who thought up that great name for this magician.
Elendo. It's like the guy.
No?
I am the great Elendo, better than the great
Innuendo.
Innuendo.
Yes.
In your endo, not in my
Yeah,
endo. No.
Did you ever notice the word innuendo is an innuendo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the magician with his magic wand, and he's got his hat on the table there. So he can do magic tricks, okay? The best trick is a trick with words. I can put an SED or ING on the end of a word and make a new word.
Showtime. Look plus X equals looks. Looked and looking. How about lick? Licked and licking.
I don't know, I never ran the program that far.
Jumps.
It could be sector edited. These are just text words as those
in
characters.
theory,
We could.
Tom Jerry Holmes was saying that the actual software to build the Plato disks for TI actually still exists in one of the Plato, one of the actual Plato server distributions. This is the guy who's running Irata.online, which is basically an emulated CDC machine running the Plato system.
And people have written other educational discs to teach, and
But who's written the Plato educational disc to help you make a?
well, you get the credits if you press something here. You get the credits and it'll tell you who wrote something. I think
Right.
that's
Yeah,
that.
because I know on and off I've seen people that have expressed interest in creating new courseware to
Mhm.
use.
And there's I believe there's a tutorial somewhere that I've seen for creating mazes and for one for games, creating games.
Sure.
Where the boilerplate is there and you just put certain things in and it creates a game.
Yeah. All right, we've gone to another disc. This is science, and the subject is physics.
Oh, God.
So we're going to have some fizzing here.
I passed physics without ever opening the book,
I used to
Well,
like
but I got a D.
it was a UCLA show that they ran on Channel 11. It was a physics show. I forget the name of it. But measurement in physics, okay, we'll do that. Okay, press enter to start. Pressing enter continues. You can always press enter, then you can press back to go to a previous page, okay? At least they tell you
Yeah.
the nature of measurement. What do you think we do when we measure something? We observe, we count, we come up with a numeric value, all of the above. Humans are inquisitive animals. They are curious about the world they live in. From the earliest times, human beings have observed their environments and tried to classify what they found in them. They have tried to put the many sights, sounds, smells, whatever, into some kind of order. Measurement developed with humans. It went beyond simply observing something. It extended from a simple observation to description.
Oh, here's caveman.
And there's a dinosaur.
What are you guys doing, Olga? Olga?
We're measuring this dinosaur. We could use your help. We've run out of feet. So they're measuring, how many feet long the dinosaur is. Now, people try to say humans and dinosaurs didn't live at the same time. But I've seen all these movies like 1 million
Oh,
BC and Caveman and everything, and they're right there.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, who can argue with Raquel Welch in a pelt? Or Raquel Welch's pelt, for that matter. You know, I just saw a picture of her. She's 73 years old. She's damn good looking. Or 78 or something. Damn good. She looks better now, I think, than she did when she was 30.
Okay, at some point in ancient time, humans learned that simple observation can also be deceptive. What we see with our eyes is influenced by our mind. Well, that means if you have one, here's our old optical illusion friend. I'm sure you've seen this before. Which of these is longer? 1, 2, or they're equal? See, they're equal because the angles above and below them deceive the eye into thinking they're longer or shorter than they actually are. So looking at this line drawing with the naked eye doesn't necessarily tell you the truth. You need to measure it. Okay, again, this puzzle, which one is longer? 1, 2, or neither? I was a kid and I saw this, and it was 2 pieces of cardboard. And you'd position them like that. Then you take them and switch them, and the one that was bigger is now the smaller one because it's an optical illusion. Again, measurement is needed. In some situations, it's not necessary to have a precise measurement. An approximate example will do. For example, most experienced cooks don't bother with measuring out tablespoons of butter or oil for frying. Or they don't measure exact amounts of salt and pepper. They use the old taste and tell method. Okay, so this gets into your start of physics here. Now we'll go to another disc.
Excuse me. Oh,
And about the time it would take you to go in your box of floppy disks, look at the catalog label.
No, but you've got a cheat sheet. You've got a script.
Yes, these files are all named after who comes up on the header. Yeah, I was pulling my hair out of my head when I got home from my daughter's because I couldn't get this to work, and I went, is the cartridge? I get different super cards. I tried the P box as well as the Nano and stuff like that, and I couldn't get nothing to work. So I finally narrowed it down to the console. Okay, here's math skills. Percents less than 100 tutorial. Help us find percents less than 1. Press D for dictionary. A is the decimal. It describes what a decimal is. B is a fraction. Describes what a fraction is. Press L to leave. Press the enter key. Part of 100. So. Okay, so we get into the limited graphics on the TI where they try to illustrate a point, and they do a fairly good job. Of course, most of the computers at that time couldn't do much better than this anyway.
Right. Well, I think the Plato terminals were like 512 by 512, so they were pretty high resolution for their time, but they were, plasma display. I think maybe only a couple variants of intensity. Okay, 33%. The previous picture was 50%. 1%. So it gets the concept across of here's now less than 1%, 1/2 of 1%, and 1/4 of 1%.
Oh, it's pretty much the same to me.
One half of 1% is the same as 1/2%. So different ways of saying the same thing. So how much is shaded? That is what, 1%, 1/10 1%. I'll go with D. 1/10 of the small square. Actually, I've gone through this before, but okay, I give up. That's
Excuse me. Yeah, a lot of people look at a sign on a bank and they think, oh, I'm only getting 1%. They're getting 1/10 of a percent because it's 0.1. And that you'd be surprised how many people are taken in by that.
So you see this meeting, it's like 3 meetings in one. We had a lot of ground to cover with the Supernotes Express, the Bob Roberts Library, which we barely touched.
Yeah. And which, unfortunately, probably wasn't recorded, or if it was, only a fraction of it was recorded.
Well, then people should come to the Chicago User Group meetings.
And they should at least tune in and tell us that they're watching. That's the least they can do. God
okay, now this is great. How do you do astronomy on the TI? Well, this is it.
Hard to believe this is 40 years old, out of date. Yeah.
All right. Our universe and its origins, you will see the Big Bang. There's our universe, at least on the TI.
Yeah, as far as the TI resolution.
I have seen a lot of screens like this for outer space battles where our old friend, the asterisk, is the stars. But that is our universe. As we look at the evening sky, some are bright and some aren't. You can see the Big Dipper. The universe is all the matter and energy known to exist. Okay. Where did all this come from? Well, the Big Bang.
Well, once upon a time, there was Adam and Eve.
The Big Bang hypothesis. Other people
have you ever heard any other hypothesis about
steady state? It always was, always will be. It flows. Some people say all the matter, then there's the pulse type, where all the matter eventually condenses down into a singularity. It explodes, new stars, planets, and stuff. It expands so far, gravity takes over, pulls it back down again. Poole Anderson's book, Tau Ceti, Tau space CETI, was about a sublight but near light speed colony ship going to a promising star. And the ship had minor breakdowns and such, and they overshot the star, and they says, well, we'll just find a habitable planet around the next one. And then we're looking at the stars in the galaxy, and they say, what's going on? Stars are red, all red. They're getting old. The universe is getting old. And they rode the collapse of all matter into a monoblock and the resulting explosion back out, and they were racing with the chunks of matter coming out, waiting for them to again cool and turn into young stars and planets. It was quite an adventure book.
Well, if it's 10 billion miles across, that would be a very big chunk of rock.
Yeah. There you go. There's the Big Bang on a TI.
Kaboom. Must have been loud, too.
Yeah. Some people say it was the first word of God.
What did I do now?
So there's the Big Bang. Okay, there's all the matter, energy, and the universe. Okay, so it sums it up pretty good. Summary: the Big Bang hypothesis explains the origin of the universe. All matter in the universe concentrated in one very dense body. This body then exploded. Like Mr. Creosote at the in Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. That one thin mint.
Yeah, don't eat before watching that movie.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, it's way for thin, yeah.
That's a lot of thin.
Okay, press enter, back, A to see the dictionary. Redo to go to the index. Redo on a TI is function 8.
And you've finished that topic. That's it. Yeah.
Well, that was the universe. Now
That was
we
10 billion miles, and it all went poof. And
well, getting in a flame war on Facebook, they go into your ancestors, your parents, and you in particular. So here it goes into the universe, the Milky Way, and then our galaxy, and then our solar system. So it gets more and more specific. So we'll do our galaxy. You will now see the Milky Way on the TI. There it is.
some of it gone.
Balls of rotating gas. Clusters are called galaxies. Our galaxy is called the Milky Way.
At 10 billion, you notice how they keep emphasizing that 10 billion? 10 billion
Where's
miles.
Carl Sagan when you need him,
Yeah.
Billions and billions.
10 billion is a pretty big number.
Yeah, it is. Balls of gases. So, and it briefly explains how they condensed, how stars formed, why
I
they
kind
lit.
of prefer the Adam and Eve thing.
The life of a star, a young star. Wow.
The only problem with Adam and Eve is Adam and Eve must have had children, right? But weren't they brother and sister?
Well,
And-
two sons, one split, one got killed.
Well,
And then they had more children that the Bible really glosses over quite a bit.
yeah, and then didn't they have to copulate with their brothers and sisters? I mean, isn't that incestuous? Are we all
Must have
bastards? By
started-
That's before they
Ancestral
invented
later
laws
on.
against incest.
oh, I see. Oh, well, in that case, yeah.
And with Adam
Guys, I don't
and
have
Eve,
mind. Never
Bootstrap
mind.
the society
yeah.
somehow.
with,
Yeah,
with
that's
Adam and
pretty
Eve,
good
with their
enough.
spectrum genetics, they had no recessives. So they could get away with that for hundreds of generations before mutations and recessives.
Well, I
started
understand
popping up.
that science has speculated that at one time the human population was down to 1,500 individuals, that there was some kind of an extinction, and that we were down to 1,500 individuals, and therefore you can trace DNA back to one of these 1,500 individuals, and that's kind of scary.
That's why everybody can have only 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, we're all cousins. I mean,
Yeah, we're all related to him.
Yeah.
Only through 6 people. Okay, here's a large star that will explode and become very bright. Becomes a supernova, or eventually a neutron star, or if it's spinning fast, a pulsar. Extremely large star, 8 to 60 solar masses, will explode in a supernova that may become as bright as an entire galaxy. Then it will become a black hole.
That's something I have a little hard time with, this black hole. How do they know if you can't see it? How do you know that there's a black hole there? And they say that if you go through a black hole, it crushes you down, but then you shoot into another dimension. In the meanwhile, you're going, ouch. You'll never know. It's like death is a black hole. You never know what it's like on the other side till you go through it.
That's the final question.
Yeah.
Well, there's people who've been there and back.
So they say. I don't know.
Okay, our galaxy, now we got our solar system.
Although I did once upon a time, as we were driving through Atlanta, see people running out of a building, out of a house. And we learned later by listening to the radio that a man who was being waked at a funeral home sat up in the coffin and wasn't actually dead. He hadn't been embalmed, and it scared the living hell out of everybody in this.
That's why they embalm a lot of people. They make sure they're dead when they plan them.
Francesco.
Yeah.
There were people in the 19th century that asked to be decapitated after death to make absolutely certain that they wouldn't be buried alive. And
Poe wrote a couple stories like that.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
They had bells they could ring from inside. They had air
a
vents.
telephone.
Yeah, when they invented
and
that
a-
technology.
Yeah. And imagine that telephone. I mean, that number, it had to have a telephone number. So you could dial that number and you could hear a phone ringing inside the mausoleum. That's pretty scary too.
Yeah. Lovecraft wrote a story.
Imagine if you had a telephone and you were alive, you woke up in a coffin, but you couldn't get to the phone. You couldn't dial the damn thing, you know? You couldn't.
You got the music on hold. Your call is very important to us. Please hold on.
Please stay on line.
The next operator.
Please do not panic and serve your oxygen.
Okay,
Hey,
here's
we're actually
biology.
getting some chat, I think. Are we?
Oh, okay.
Are we getting? Are
Let
we
me
getting
know
some
if we're
chats?
too disrespectful here, folks.
Yeah, let's. So somebody's actually looking at this. All right.
If you're watching, what we're doing is we're going through the Plato
I can't.
educational library that was ported to the TI by Controlled Data Systems. And this is the system that runs all off of disk. We're running, it needs a supercard editor assembler with 8K expansion as the cartridge to run the Plato interpreter disk. And we're using a nano PEB with a compact flash card that has about 438 Plato disks on it. And we're just going through highlights of particular disks and making fun of them.
Wow.
So here is 621. We want section B. It's not practice. So we're into biology now. You'll learn some new vocabulary too. Biology is the study of living things. It has very practical applications. Biology is built on the foundation of chemistry and physics. So one, the lintel is biology, and the 2 foundation stones are chemistry and physics.
Yeah, this is not your health class, kids. So you can just forget that. This is.
That's not the Trilon and Perisphere the home audience is
That's
saying.
right. Yeah, this is.
Reference to the 1938 New York World's Fair.
Yeah.
Let's talk of higher radiation levels in a 5-mile radius surrounding the nuclear plant. Is it safe to live so near the plant? Are the radiation levels harmful to people? Yes, and yes. You've heard that the power plant will use river water for cooling, which will raise the temperature of the river by 3 degrees. How will that affect fishing next spring? Well, you know it will.
What are we getting a little propaganda here?
Study of, you can't say they were from California. And they were those liberals. They were from what state was controlled data?
Illinois.
Yeah.
I think they were Springfield-ish and
good old,
University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana.
Corn-fed Midwesterners.
UIUC and Control Data are responsible for Play-Doh.
Yeah. Boy, this is biology. Biology is learning about all the evil corporate practices in the world that are destroying our pristine universe. Oh. Vote for Bernie. Yeah.
What is living matter? Well, non-living is rectangular and living is round. Okay. I've gone through.
Living matter overlaps.
Yeah, it makes Venn diagrams.
This table is therefore non-living matter, whereas that water bottle there, that's alive. So be careful.
Okay. I went through quite a bit. I'll admit, I went through quite a bit of these discs to find the most humorously illustrated ones. So this is intentional here.
As I say, you're the most organized guy I've ever met.
Okay. Living or non-living?
Well, that part's living, and that part's not, and that line, that's not alive, and that triangle, God, I don't know. I think that triangle is queer, but
specific behavior of the matter. Okay.
Jesus.
Funny how the first thing that living things do is excrete.
Yeah.
Then reproduce. Then they eat. Then they secrete. And they breathe, and they're sensitive. Okay. Sounds like the start of a novel. I think I saw that movie.
It's like the process of birth, Never mind. It's a family show.
Okay, so that was, okay, now we'll go to.
I wonder if we're putting people off of ever going to Plato. I hope not. It's a great program. Or series of programs. And speaking of series of programs, guys, I'm going to go out and find out if we are come on, I've got to know my own number here. Touch ID is not recognized.
Well, I got another hour on the parking meter, so I didn't know if we're going to have to leave at 4 or 4:30 or what.
Your passcode is required to enable Touch ID.
Okay, so
whatever you do, kids at home, do not buy an iPad.
And I just read this stomach-churning piece of information.
Jesus Christ, this thing is
that the touchpads used for ordering foods at fast food restaurants, 100% of them have tested positive for fecal coliform bacteria on the touch screens.
Wow.
So put your rubber gloves on before you touch them.
All I wanted when I started this was the time, which
So-
comes up. You just touch the thing and it tells you the time. Now I can't read the damn time down there. It's so tiny.
3:37.
This is geology, and here's the El Dorado gold mine in 1889. And there's a map of where it's at.
Let's go. Treasure hunting. What are we on?
Did we play this game? This is called geology. And it's another
Geology.
legitimate Plato disc on location. Where am I? What if, quote, you found this map stuck behind some old dusty shelves in an old house?
I'd sell it for as much as
The
I
map
could get
alone would not be very helpful to you. This lesson will explain what else you need to know to use the map and to find the gold mine. Okay, so 1 is definition of location, examples of location. 3, the gold mine, and 4, to practice. So location is the precise identification of the site of any physical feature. Precise identification means 3 things. A reference point tells you where to start from. B, direction tells you which way to start moving from the reference point. And C, distance tells you how far you must travel from the reference point. Okay, so it's all pretty much straightforward in this on geology on, how to read a map. So here's our little speedy, helpful character in the upper left. Which word tells you how far you must travel from the starting point? Location, reference point, direction, or distance? How far to travel? D, the distance. And right. Which word describes a starting place? Location, reference point, let's say B. Which word describes a precise identification of the site of any one physical feature? Location, reference point, B. Wrong. Reference point only gives you part of the direction. Which way to start? Oh, direction. I misread that sentence. Definition. I got 3 out of 4 right. Enter to continue to section 2. Examples of location. We'll go to section 2. Okay, so here's the El Dorado gold mine again. They give us a reference point. There's a desolate railroad station, so this dotted line up here must be the railroad tracks. And this is the mountains, and this is a river, although they haven't labeled them yet. But there's a lone pine. Boy, the guys on Oak Island could have used this map. They're still drilling holes all over the darn place. On this map, the Solida Railroad Station is the reference point because it is the starting point of your hunt for the gold mine. Okay, so they go through it pretty good. And here they draw a map of the continents on Earth. Notice how it's drawing them. It's doing it like line by line,
Right,
like they're
'cause
going.
that was the Plato system, was sort of vectographic based rather than.
Go at this point, draw in this direction, this many pixels.
Yeah.
On a map of the world, there are 2 basic reference points. Okay, they're going to show us the equator and Greenwich meridian. I'm glad you know so much about this. James, I wish you were doing this demonstration.
I don't know a lot about the TI specific
Oh, okay.
implementation. I have more knowledge of the original system. And there was actually, as I said, the Arata.online was an implementation, was essentially an online implementation of the Plato system that was targeted specifically to support old microcomputers. The guy behind that, Tom Cherry Holmes,
Well, I need
rewrote a bunch of client software for classic computers, including I think that he is currently working on a TI version as well. Because often the problem is because of the limited graphics capabilities of the old machines and the speeds of connectivity, they often
Here it again, it's drawing it again.
sort of dumb down the subset of the communication to handle some of the simplified Plato terminal software on various computer platforms. What this gentleman wanted to do is he wanted a better representation for these old classic computer platforms to be able to utilize the Plato system that he was running.
Yeah, there's actually color on this in the Plato system on my volume 585 physics, color, reflection, and refraction. On my 584 physics, they have optics and wave motion. I really wanted Hal to go through that because as a sailor, he knows waves pretty good. So if you want to go east, what would you use as a reference point? Greenwich. Want to go south, you'd use the equator as a reference point. Sorry. Okay, so we are at the railroad station, and we would go. Here he's coming. Okay, that's it. So you gotta. The only problem here is you got to actually memorize some of these screens, because the next screen will ask you a question of what direction would you go and how far would you go? And there's no function 8 or function 9 to redo or go back to this screen.
Uh-huh.
So that's where this is your friend. You take a picture of the screen, and then when it asks you, you can look at this. And I've actually played some computer Dungeons and Dragons games to where you're trying to work your way out of a doggone labyrinth.
Right,
And it's
you start
nice to
mapping
have.
it on paper.
I've taken the picture, printed it out, and I
Yeah.
go, okay. So with one finger on the keyboard and the other on my photograph,
Yeah,
I can actually make my way out of it. So here's where everything is.
That's why I think God invented, function plus. I get in that situation, I quit.
How much do you travel from the DeSoto radio station to get to the gold mine? 9,
That's
12?
a lot.
I'm sorry I said that. How do you pronounce that correctly?
I think it would be desolate as like in desolate, you know?
Okay, so they're making sort of fun
Yeah,
of,
a little more humor here. Yeah.
I would go like, well, you have to travel
You'd have to
3
travel.
miles plus 9 plus 4 is 16 miles. Okay. Yeah, this is wild. Somewhere in Tiger Cub or something, I stumbled across something that prints a real nice drawing of this on the TI, much bigger than that, and it looks real good. To draw lines of latitude, press enter. Okay. Draw lines of longitude. Okay, so we're using Mercator projection here. Distance from Greenwich Meridian is shown by lines of longitude. Continue section 3. Sure, we're having so much fun here with this gold mine. Actually,
There's nobody coming after us, so we don't have to
all right.
write down everything. In fact, my wife actually reserved this room till 4:15. Or at least they reserved it in her name because I called on her telephone, so then put her name on it.
I probably like her better, so we'll give her an extra. 15
Yeah,
minutes.
I told them that my name was Hal Shanafield, so they wrote down Helmut.
We're going to skip over a couple discs here because I wanted to get one for you, Hal,
Uh-oh.
that is ready-made.
Why are you so nice to me? Why are you so good to me?
So now that you've seen, here, I'll load it up for you. 2, 5, disc 2, CTIUG.
Feel a sneeze coming.
So go ahead, you get to go in the hot seat because this is all about waves and wave motion. And as a
Wave
sailor,
Oh,
you obviously know much more about that than I do.
oh, thank you. Where'd that come from?
It's sitting over there.
Oh, fantastic.
Somebody sneezed on those already.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna get
Somebody showed a picture of bubble wrap in 2 hands and said, warning, the air in your bubble wrap came from China. You know, you'll pop it. Another one shows a clerk sneezing in a box, and then it shows the person opens the box and all these red dots are jumping out on his face.
We laugh, but there are people around the world, like the first
Yeah.
doctor to discover the coronavirus in Wuhan, he died from it, you know?
Oh, shit. So go ahead, Al. You get to
What am I doing?
go over to the TI.
Oh, God.
You get to run the
Uh-oh.
program.
Shall I disinfect the keyboard afterwards?
Nah, don't worry about it. I've had everything already, so
Oh, good.
there's nothing that could affect me at this point.
Oh, good. Haven't had it either. or anything. Oh, God. All right, now, what am I supposed
Well,
to
we've run through a bunch of Plato programs, and you should be familiar enough with the system to run it
Oh,
yourself.
yes. Press enter.
Yeah, you'll see this a lot.
Motion energy of matter. Motion energy of matter drill. Additional studies. Oh, let's go for 1 here.
Yeah. Okay, so we get our title screen.
Ta-da! Pressing enter. Yeah.
Continues.
Yeah.
Yeah, This is, okay, motion and gas.
Motion and gas, type of letter. Oh, okay.
Try A.
Try A. Laws of motion and energy that apply to planets and rocks also apply to tiny molecules of matter. No shit. Yes, you're right. Gases are composed of tiny molecules in rapid motion. They bump into one another and their container millions of times. Best
One of each
bump into
other, yeah.
each other and their container.
Their
Yes,
container.
of course. Yes, there's container. Oh, yes. Okay. They exchange energy and speed up or slow down in collision, much like billiard balls. I'm reading this at an angle, and it's kind of
Sorry.
no, that's okay. No, leave it. We got to see it at home. This energy can be harnessed to do work. No, don't give.
That didn't make
Carl Lex,
angle it too much. I'm going to try for you next time.
Okay, press enter to continue. We're entering right away. Gas. Individual gas molecules move at different speeds. They move in random directions. The circles above represent molecules and the arrows their direction of motion. Interesting. They look like little, male symbols. So we have male molecules moving in different directions, undoubtedly seeking female molecules in which to penetrate.
Either that or a
Anyway.
cluster of males is like a cloud of gas.
And I wonder what their container is, don't you? We all wonder that.
Well, the bars might be an indication of.
Volume. A gas fills the container holding it. Really?
This is taking a while because there was one that went through wave motion and it shows a spring.
Unless you release gas, and if you do it in a confined space like an elevator, then what will happen is that everyone will get off at the very next floor.
Mhm.
It will be much less.
I've seen that
crowded
happen. I've done that actually.
Mhm.
Okay, space fill causes volume. A gas fills a container because gases are elastic. Boy, are they ever. You can compress or stretch it to a certain amount, but beyond a certain amount.
Go on
It's
YouTube
gonna
and
get
look
out.
at the videos
You gotta-
of
you
people
gotta be
overinflating a tire. trying
It
to mount
returns
it.
to its original volume when the pressure is released. Yes, it does.
Unintentional humor in the Plato software library.
The molecules of a gas are thought to be far apart. No, they sneak right up on each other. They move in a constant, random, and rapid motion because of the wide separation of the molecules. A gas can be compressed easily, forcing the molecules closer together. Only with extreme concentration can you do that. A spring is an analogy of a gas.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So then they show you the corkscrew.
Yeah. And add weights to a hanging spring.
Okay.
A spring is note the spring stretch and then return and weights as weights are removed. The volume of a gas is usually measured in metric liters. A liter is a little larger than a quart. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, you spent some time in Europe.
Yeah.
Buy a liter of gas. You don't know how much that is.
Yeah, I know how much a liter is.
Well, I think I've said this before.
Don't rub your
So
eyes,
I
Hal.
knew people during the when we had skyrocketing gasoline rates. I remember a friend of mine is like in Canada at one point in time. Oh, it's cheap. It's like what? Only a little over $1. I'm like, yeah, it's a little over $1 a liter.
Yeah.
So
And
The
you-
pumps couldn't go up
Yeah.
that high for the numbers. They said this is the price for a half gallon.
yeah, it used
on
to be
some
that
pumps.
in Canada, when you go to Canada, you think, God, it's really expensive gas. Well, you were getting 5 quarts. It was an imperial gallon.
Oh,
And you'd fill your car up. If you had a 20-gallon tank, you'd fill it up. You say, geez, I only got like 6 gallons of gas.
that's a different
And
Plato disc, volume and measurement.
Yeah, but it would be 7 7 gallons per
Well,
minute.
go on, because they go through wave mechanics here.
Yeah. All right. Gas also has pressure. Boy, does it ever. All we know about that, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful what you eat because can build up a lot of pressure. A crab on the bottom of the ocean floor lives at the bottom of a blanket of water. It looks up at things floating overhead. So don't get crabs.
Notice how it draws circles there.
We too live at the bottom of a blanket of air about 16 kilometers deep. We watch things flow by overhead. If you're in certain areas of the world where there's unrest, you may see rockets, you may see bullets. Keep your head down, boys and girls.
Yes. So,
Blanket of air is made of a mixture of different gases and is called the atmosphere. The weight of the ocean pushes down the crab, causing pressure. So too our atmosphere's weight causes atmospheric pressure. What is pressure? Pressure is the force divided by the area which the force is applied. Right? That's why they don't let women in stiletto heels walk on airliners. That's why even stewardesses put on flat shoes,
because they have honeycomb floor.
Yeah, you punch right through.
Yeah.
That's why they have that material on the floor of an airliner.
That's why you can't bring a mercury thermometer on an aluminum aircraft.
What is that?
The mercury destroys aluminum. Look
I
on YouTube for putting a drop of mercury on a plate of aluminum, and it forms the most bizarre type stuff.
You decide to drive a nail into a wall. Well, if I decide to drive a nail into a wall, I am going to destroy the wall because I've never been able to drive a nail straight. And putting it in a wall.
Well, the limited graphics that TI has, I think they actually did. I know I'm making a lot of fun about it, but I think they do a very good job of getting to the point of what they're trying to describe and teach.
Being concentrated at the point.
Yeah.
The correct way to apply pressure is to have the force directed towards the narrow end. Thus, the nail can be hammered into the board.
Well, Stash and Yash are putting siding up on a customer's house.
Yeah, don't hit the
And Stash
pointy end.
takes a nail out of his pouch, and he looks at it, and he hammers it in. He takes the next one out, looks at it, throws it over his shoulder. That's like about every other nail he's throwing away. Finally, Yash says, Stash, what you doing? Throwing half the nails away. And Stash says, they're pointing the wrong way. And Yash says, you dummy, that's for the other side of the house.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Another example. We need another example. A polar bear can walk across snow crust that a person would break through.
I love that in Lord of the Rings, where Aeolus, the elf, is walking on top of the snow that everybody's sinking like 2 feet into it, and here he is like...
Yes, it's a magical property of it being an elf.
A bear weighs much more. It has more surface area on 4 paws than a person has on 2 feet. Okay. Volume pressure of gas. How is the pressure of gas related to its volume? Let's try an experiment.
Okay.
Take a hypodermic needle. You take a hypodermic needle and right there you're going to be busted. Don't try this at home, boys and girls. Plug one end. Place 4 equal-sized books on top, one at a time. Record the volume each time. The volume of the book. The results are shown in the following graph. You haven't done anything except plug one into the books. Now what are you supposed to do with the book?
You're supposed to place it on
Number
top,
of books.
balance it on a needle.
Okay, we're on the wrong disc, actually, because one was about sound and waves,
am I
and it
missing
showed a
something
spring
Sure.
being squeezed and a spring being shook.
Yeah.
The number of books. Somehow we got from a hypodermic needle to books. I missed. Let's go back. What do we press to go back?
Function 8 to go back, or
Function-
although it doesn't say you can do that.
There's a
function
6,
8 or
wasn't it
function
6
9?
to go back?
No, that was the
No, it's gonna probably be an actual Plato macro key, which is
function 9.
I don't know. It's probably not the function keys. It's
Oh,
probably,
press function
it's
0.
probably a control.
my favorite function.
They did say function 8 or 9 to go back to the menu or back to the,
Back to the previous page. I thought, haven't we been
no,
able
you
to?
can't always go back to a previous page. That can be
Oh.
vexing sometimes.
Well, I don't understand the books and
Let's see if I
the
can
volume.
get it.
What is this?
Okay, so if you have three,
Books and hypodermic syringe.
He's
Did we
trying-
skip a page or
Yeah,
something?
there-
let's go through it. Maybe it explains what it's trying to say
Okay,
later on.
that's.
Oh, there you go, back to review. Okay,
Oh.
since you pressed enter by reflex, you could do back to review.
Back to review.
It wasn't-
All right, let's.
It was back, or was that
back is
redo?
9.
Function, right.
Function 9.
There you go.
Okay, and let's.
Nah,
let's
it
do
doesn't
another
let you do
function
that
9.
indefinitely. All right. Yeah,
Um,
some of the editing keys would
I'm
be
sorry,
nice if
but
you could
I don't
flip a
understand
page
this at all.
backwards.
You might be
Sometimes.
able to. 'cause
Pressure
originally
and hypodermic syringe.
the Plato system was
Maybe
a-
I'll-
Let's just run through it so we don't get hung up, because there's
Okay.
more discs we can show.
Yeah, every book added would lower the plunger on the needle. The gas molecules have less space in the syringe.
Oh, that's a
As they move
closed
closer to each
syringe.
other, more molecule collisions occur. There is increase in pressure. Okay, notice that with the increased pressure, there is decreased volume. I guess the pressure increases with decreased
Yeah, usually they
volume,
go
but-
through the analogy
yeah,
of a
but
bicycle
I don't-
pump gets hot when you inflate
Yeah,
a tire,
exactly.
and when you let the air out, it's cold.
Yeah, I don't understand the books. You're gonna press the plunger with the book? They didn't say
I
that.
think they're using a hypodermic. They should have said specifically, it's blocked off. There's no needle.
Well,
It's it's a fixed volume and closed cylinder. So when you put weight on it, you're squeezing down and compressing the
well,
air.
it showed a needle on the.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Strangely.
all right. Moving on here. We're molecules in motion. We have to picture the molecules in motion to see the gases exert pressure. The gas molecules bump the container millions of times each second. Each bump exerts an insignificant force. Well, if it's so insignificant, why are we even talking about it? See the container. See the little male molecules pushing on the side of the container.
When you confine them in a smaller volume, they get hot.
I keep thinking, this is a family show. Hal, stop that. That was me, by the way. Okay, onward. What is the temperature of a gas? Usually pretty hot. It's a measurement of the average kinetic energy of the molecules. How are temperature and pressure related? The pressure builds up, it gets really hot, and you start to sweat. And
Well, a closed cylinder, the higher the temperature, the more pressure
you want to go
inside.
outside where it's cool.
There we
where you
go.
can release the gas. And anyway,
There you go.
okay, collision on special.
So we
Faster
get into,
move.
basic physics and such, and it's a
Yeah.
fairly good way of, anybody to learn at their own pace.
Yeah, even if they can't understand it, they can memorize it.
Like they said, the TI doesn't laugh at you or lose its patience very often.
Yeah, you might laugh at it, but it won't laugh back.
Mhm.
TI has no sense of humor.
With my luck, we're going to have the teacher that wrote this section contact us, and it was a dirty letter, a cease and desist
That's it,
notice,
that's it.
and to quit defaming the good name of Plato. Okay, Hal, well, here, we can go back.
Thank heavens.
Yeah, this is actually not the disc. I was trying to get one on wave mechanics, and I thought, well, you're used to sailing, so here's a compression, expansion, waves, and
you all
amplitude. That's what I was trying to do, and I failed.
Well, look at it this way. It's something for the future. Speaking of future, it is actually after 4:00, so maybe we had better start.
Sign off and shut down.
Yeah. Although we,
No, it's behind us and we have the room.
Yeah, right, we don't have to
Quarter
race
after.
away. I should do this. I should probably call my wife and tell her that we are not, in fact, where we normally are. She doesn't know that.
There we go.
One of the problems with using FaceTime is that you see yourself full screen and you see every.
Yeah, it's me. I'm downstairs. What do you want?
I just wanted to tell you that we're in the Newberry room in the southwest corner on the 3rd floor, and you don't have to hold it up to your ear because much as I love you, I don't need to look into your ear.
Well, listen, are you coming down?
Soon.
Because I only put 15 minutes in the meter.
Okay, I'll be there as soon as possible. You might want to just go and sit in the car and fend off the bulls when they come.
All right.
Oh,
Bye.
All right.
here we go.
Be down in a bit.
Yeah, it was in
Sorry.
optics, in wave motion, on wave characteristics.
Ah,
And they get into a cork will go up and down on a wave, but not actually move forward unless there's wind. And
Yeah,
then
right.
it goes into compression waves and expansion.
yeah, the motion in a wave is circular. It's like a bicycle motion in that it is
Transverse and longitudinal waves.
like, yeah, so the water in a wave in Lake Michigan, for instance, doesn't actually move until it gets to shoreline. The energy goes through it in a circular fashion, goes up and down, much like radio waves. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the disc I want you to present because you could do so much of a better job.
Oh,
I'll
yes.
just
So
briefly go through this. And
let's save that for another time then,
Mhm.
when we have more time.
okay, so that's disc volume 585. Because we had chemistry, earth science, astronomy, economics. We also had behavioral science, psychology.
Oh, that should be fun.
So there is a lot on the Plato system.
Well, boys and girls, if you've enjoyed this at home, we'd like you to subscribe and hit the bell so you and become one of our Patreons and send us a lot of money. And if you do that, we'll be more than happy to flash your name across the screen because that is one of the skills that we have in fact acquired. We can make your name flash across the screen. At any rate, we hope that you'll join us again next month, and hopefully the first Saturday of next month in April, and we'll have more. Excuse me, more fun and games, provided we don't all come down with some kind of a virus, which seems to be affecting me right now. Too much laughing today. I think that's what it is, giving us a sore throat. At any rate, from all of us here in beautiful downtown Evanston, Illinois, at the Evanston Public Library, to all of you out there, wherever you may be, here's hoping that you'll keep on TIing and that nothing we have said or done today will put you off. Till then, bye for now.
Don't shut down yet.
And where's our function plus here?
Let me take care of it. So let's see if I can grab that
Yeah.
other stream.
Salvage anything that might be salvageable.